good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is that you're listening to this. My name is Wanzuu. I'm your host for the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. Now, over time, I have always wanted a nice, safe space that is judgment-free to be able to share of my life experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'd love to take you along with me on this journey. And so life is too hard to go through it alone, I think. So we just do life together. Amma, happy listening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women, wadau na wadau wetu. Ama ni wadau wetu, dudes and dudettes. Welcome back to the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. My good name is Yvette Wanzuu. I'm your host for the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. If you're new here, welcome. It's all good vibes, genuine, authentic, raw conversations, and zero judgment. That's what this podcast is all about. I like to give and share of my own personal life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, the laughable ones, but all in all, just to share and to be able to do an outward kind of introspection, if you will. Welcome back. Long time no episode. Life stays lifing. I've been busy, but also I haven't quite had anything that of significance that I wanted to share. And so when that happens, I'm not about to come on here and BS you people. I'll stay away. I'll just do life. I'll go through the motions. And then once I pick up something that I really want to share, I come on here and share. And that is exactly what has inspired today's episode, just like any other episode. I was chilling with a very special person that happens to be a very good friend of mine. And I know I'm not certain about the future, but I know that the time that was there was good. It was a good time, even if it was not a long time. And so we were just in conversation talking about a lot of things. We tend to have a lot of conversations just around life in general. And on this particular instance, we were talking about intimacy, if you will. I choose to call it intimacy because when we talk about being intimate, we say intimate, we don't say intimate. So I don't know, saying intimacy feels right to me. But if you're one of those people who pronounce it as intimacy, bear with me. Every time I say intimacy, just correct it in your head. Capish, let's go. So I want us to talk about intimacy, okay? And of course, we're not going to talk about anything without defining what the word means. And Mr. Google came through as he always does. And this is the definition of intimacy: a relationship that involves emotional or physical closeness between people and may include sexual intimacy and feelings of romance or love. So intimacy is a relationship that involves emotional or physical closeness between people and may include sexual interactions and feelings of romance or love. Intimacy is also used as a euphemism for sexual intercourse. So you'll have heard in certain circles when people choose to prefer to sex or sexual intercourse, ama kusmash kama wewe ni Gen Z, come through, that tend to refer to it as intimacy. Now, you'd be very interested and very shocked to find out that there are different forms of intimacy. As I was talking to this person, we were just talking about how sometimes marriages tend to fall apart and how people somewhere along the route or along the line in marriage, sometimes it becomes a bit rocky and you tend to lose the spark or quote unquote that one thing that unites you. And we were talking, about what intimacy means to them. First of all, can I just say that in this era of people just sampling, it was very refreshing to find a man who thought that for him, sex or sexual intimacy is something very, very very dear to him, or it's something that's very important to him. And it's something that he told me that he's not comfortable, like he wouldn't be comfortable being with this person and being with the other person and being with the other person sexually. It's something that they consider very personal, very special, and so they choose to have that interaction one partner at a time until it doesn't make sense anymore, and then they do it with someone else. But they made it very clear that they're not able to do it with too many people at one go. And I feel the exact same way. And it's been a hot minute since I found someone who shared that particular opinion. So I thought that was very refreshing. However, I felt like they had a very skewed perception of what intimacy is. And knowing me, I chose to probe further, and I asked him, so what are some of the forms of intimacy that you think are there, or does intimacy mean to you? And so he proceeds to describe everything sexual, from the sexual act itself to kissing, to hugging and touching, and what we like to call cool romance. Yeah. So I went and did my own due diligence because I felt like there's more to intimacy than just sex and cuddling and foreplay and all of that. I feel like there's so much more to intimacy. And so I went down the road and I started doing my research and trying to just figure out because for me, intimacy feels like a connection that's so much deeper than just sexual intercourse. So what does it mean? What does intimacy truly mean? And are there any other forms of intimacy that perhaps I am not open to, or that other people are not aware of? And I was shocked to find that there are 10 types of intimacy. So without further ado, I'll just get straight into it. The first form of intimacy is physical intimacy. It is also known as sexual intimacy. It may include meaningful, consensual, physical interactions, and the main benefit of this is oxytocin, the release of oxytocin. Oxytocin, as we all know, is a connecting hormone which creates a positive and calming effect. People who love cuddles and huggers in the house, assemble. Tumefikiwa. I know personally, among the many other things and roles and just big plans that God had for me when He created me on this earth, is among them definitely had to include cuddling. I love cuddling. One of the most peaceful and happiest moments of my life have been when I have been embraced and cuddled by someone that I really love and cherish. It comes with so much joy and peace and a sense of safety. Like, it just feels so good. Cuddles really replenish my heart. Cuddles just make me feel so good. They make me feel so happy. They make me feel so safe. And so I know for a fact that this is a form of intimacy that I personally love, that it appeals to me, and I also have no problem sharing, especially with my significant other. Physical intimacy tends to alleviate loneliness. And as we all know, if we're being honest with ourselves, there's like a loneliness pandemic going on. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to be your own person, love your own company, rock with yourself heavy. But at the end of the day, as human beings, there's a particular kind of human interaction that we all tend to long for. And physical intimacy tends to be able to fulfill that. Now, it's very important, even as you sometimes every now and then battle feelings of loneliness, not to seek this kind of intimacy in the wrong places, because when you're physically intimate with some people, it can already, we know that you're releasing the oxytocin hormone, which is a bonding hormone. And as a result, you might find yourself getting attached to people you have no business getting attached to. So tread with caution. Now, examples of physical intimacy include hugging, cuddling, my personal favorite, kissing, sexual intercourse, massages, holding hands, and so much more. Now, let's get into the second form of intimacy, and that's emotional intimacy. Now, emotional intimacy is the ability to express your feelings, both positive and negative, right? And it's the ability to be able to vulnerably express your feelings, both positive and negative, and for each to be able to be received with validation and understanding. In order for someone to be able to accomplish this kind of intimacy, a safe space needs to be created. Now, in a lot of marriages and in a lot of long-term relationships, or even short-term, this is where your partners can tend to cheat. I love to think of my partners as my friends. Like before, okay, fine, now I like you like me, I love you love me, we've even decided to date and like just become an item. I feel like the basis of any good romantic relationship is usually friendship. Because when you're friends with someone like that, there's a sense of emotional intimacy that is formed, and they feel like they can talk to you, they can share with you, and it's a safe space for them. And when that is not provided for in a romantic relationship, especially, then one of the partners who feels like that need is not being met is most likely, often than not, susceptible to cheating. So this is something that you really want to pay attention to, especially if you're in a relationship, long term, short term, or if you're in a marriage. Um, Examples of emotional intimacy involve having a conversation about your needs, sharing private thoughts. And guys, let's be those people who create safe spaces for people to be able to share of themselves. I love it when people share thoughts with me that they ordinarily haven't felt comfortable telling other people, or that they've been holding in for so long, because I personally love the fact that I can be a safe space for people. And then it can also, another form of emotional intimacy is sharing hopes and dreams, reacting out, reaching out when in crisis. Not me, who cannot read my own handwriting. So reaching out when you're in crisis is a form of emotional intimacy. Those people who you're in a relationship, Jane, but you're here solving all your troubles. You never even tell Omondi what's going on. It's kidogo kidogo now, 3 years down the line. Now you're bitter because he didn't come through for you, but you didn't voice it. So if you're in a relationship where you're a bit hesitant to be able to share your needs, or when you're in trouble, or when you're in crisis, and you're really second guessing whether you want to share that, that's a problem. That's a problem. You probably need to assess that. The third form of intimacy is intellectual intimacy, also known as mental intimacy. Now, what this is a clear understanding of one another and an interest in each other's hobbies and experiences. This specifically, I know, is where sapiosexuals thrive, and sapiosexuals are people who are attracted to other people based on just their intellect, right? And they tend to be very aroused and very intrigued by intellectual conversations. So intellectual intimacy is actually a thing. And one of the ways that you can practice intellectual intimacy, especially with your partner, is through reading together, debating theories, just talking about life, certain theories. And this is when you'll find that even some of you differ in opinions, and you also create a space where you're open to hearing the other person's perspective and why it is they see things the way they do, and learning new things together, because who doesn't like to learn something new together with the other person or together with your partner? Another form of intimacy is spiritual intimacy, and spiritual, hallelujah. And spiritual intimacy is when there are shared beliefs, and this is usually seen in I don't know, like in religious spaces. So when you have a common religious belief, or when you subscribe to the same kind of standard as far as religion and spirituality is concerned, then you can find that you can exercise, or you can be able to practice spiritual intimacy. And some of the examples of spiritual intimacy is watching the sunrise together, meditating, praying, reading scripture, all of that good stuff. Another form of intimacy is experiential intimacy. Na hii mi napenda sana sana hapo kwenye road trips. Very nice, very good. And this involves engaging in leisure activities together. Some of the examples are trying something new with your partner, cooking together, solving puzzles, trying out new restaurants, and my personal favorite, road trips. Now we're down to the sixth. Oh my God, it is only when you're recording that your neighbors just want to scream their lungs out. Guys, please bear with me. I apologize for the background noise. Another form of intimacy is social intimacy. And this is the ability to reach out and know that this person will understand you. We live in a world where we feel really misunderstood, because we are all trying to process life the best way that we know how, and sometimes people can't quite be able to see things through your own lens. And so having social intimacy allows you to have the ability to be able to reach out and know that this particular person that you're reaching out to, this particular person that you're sharing this with, will be able to understand you. Examples of social intimacy include calling a friend, updating your partner on your day, and catching up with your coworker, because sometimes, whether we like to admit it or not, your coworkers, as you get on with work, kind of become your besties in one way or another. So that's a method of social intimacy. Another type of intimacy is creative intimacy, and this, personally, as a creative, something that is so close and dear to my heart. I know over time, when I went on one date with someone, and then I had just put out a podcast episode, and I had taken this really bomb photo looking at the mirror. So I had taken a photo of myself looking at myself in the mirror. My makeup was so good, my attire was giving African queen, and then I put that photo on my status. And this person had the audacity to reply with laughing emojis. And I was just wondering, what is it about my creativity here? And then I feel like I really outdid myself. It's giving humor. And I remember just blocking this person and being like, I don't appreciate people belittling whatever it is that I put out there. And that was a very clear boundary that was crossed. So creative intimacy, if you're a creative like me, Vuta Kitty, please just come closer, is being creative with your family, friends, and anyone you experience a level of comfort with. In this case, your romantic partner. Types of creative intimacy include karaoke, painting, that's a personal favorite, we love that here, repairing things, reading poetry, brainstorming, and stuff like that. So maybe you have a project, maybe there's this thing that you've been thinking about, perhaps there's this thing that you're doing, and maybe you can improve on it here and there, or you have new ideas of improvements. Having a space where you can be able to communicate your creative needs, your creative ideas, is a place where you're able to get creative intimacy. And then we have conflict intimacy. As a person who can be very petty and sometimes very confrontational, this one is something that I'm genuinely and actively working on. And it's clearly understanding and respecting each other's differences, right? And a way in which you can exercise conflict intimacy is by discussing your values. And guys, never ever compromise. You know those values that you're always telling yourself, this one, if this person does not meet this criteria, I genuinely cannot do it. There are some cases where you'll overlook it, when you don't have conflict intimacy, and it develops later on in the relationship. But there are places where you just look at someone and you can just see they're a walking red flag. It's giving ding 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 trouble. So then you want to be very careful even as you seek out and practice conflict intimacy. And then there's aesthetic intimacy. And this is a shared appreciation of the beauty of something. I spoke about road trips, and I told you, especially when you go on road trips with your significant other and they pull over on the side of the road and you kind of just take in views and appreciate different things in life. I think that is very important. And what that tends to create is aesthetic intimacy. Forms of aesthetic intimacy include enjoying a play, going to a museum, road trip reviews, and my personal favorite, just checking out views. Checking out new things that inspire you. It could be a house, it could be a couple, just anything truly that is giving aesthetic. It gives you a form of aesthetic intimacy. Last but not least is work intimacy, and this is the kind of intimacy or relationship that you share among your co-workers, and there's it's a very delicate balance, because at the end of the day, your friend at work is not your bestie like that. Most of them, if not 70 or 80%, never actually really have your best interest at heart. So even as you interact and navigate through this kind of things, just office politics, you need to be cognizant of the fact that although you can exercise work intimacy, certain very clear boundaries need to be able to be drawn. A form of work intimacy is sharing insights, seeking feedback, friendly banter here and there, and celebrating birthdays. It's so important. It's so important to be able to celebrate birthdays, especially in the workplace. So even as we're here, I want us to talk about some of the benefits of having all these forms of intimacy, and even so much more. One of the benefits is improved physical health. This we spoke about when we were talking about the physical intimacy. Let me tell you, there's something stress does to you. It makes you slouch, your shoulders are constantly on edge, you're clenching your teeth. So what am I saying? There are certain benefits of physical intimacy, right? Or even different types of intimacy. So having, improved physical health, when you're able to experience these kinds of intimacy, will really help you. You'll even find when you're in a happy place, when you're in a happy relationship, when things are working out for you, hata ugonjeki ovyo, even when you get a homa, it doesn't take you down as it ordinarily would if you're not in a good mental space. And intimacy does wonders for your physical health. Also, let's not downplay the benefits that come with, another benefit is improved relationship satisfaction. I think as you get older, you want to siphon out the bullshit and just have genuine and really good, beneficial, and kind of edifying relationships, right? Both romantic and both non-romantic, and platonic ones as well. So then if you're able to experience different kinds of intimacy with people, then your general relationships are just really good, they're satisfactory, you're happy, and even people who are a recipient of you being their friends are happy as well. We have improved mental health, where you just get to a point where you start feeling good, you feel better, you're more at peace, you're less anxious. You would be surprised just what intimacy can do for your mental health. And of course, a better sex life, because once you have the emotional part on lock, this person is able to talk to you, they're able to share with you what's going on with them, you're quote unquote a safe space for them just as they are for you, then your sex life will be lit. I mean, life is too short to be having bad sex. So how about you work on your relationships, get to a point where the intimacy is giving, and then the sex will just catch up and it will be awesome. And also, let's also learn in relationships to be more intentional about having good sex and having a bomb sex life. It's very easy to blame your partner and say, oh, so and so is lazy, or so and so is boring nowadays. But what have you brought to the table? When was it that you ever said, I'd like to try this, and you were turned down? So let's also learn to take responsibility for our own sex lives, kill it while we're at it, and then strive to be able to to give the other person or the other party a good sexual experience as well. And then you generally just get more out of life. I mean, look at you. You're building intimacy, you're sharing your hopes and dreams, you're working towards them. You're getting reassurance, you're getting cuddles, you're getting hugs, you're getting, good sex, your mental health is in a good space, all because you're practicing these different types of intimacy and doing them well. So you'll get more out of life. You'll feel like life is good. It's giving peace. It's giving joy. And I love it for me. I want us to talk about something, even as we come to a close. There's something to be said about the culture of accusing people of simping. Now, matters of the heart are never collective decisions. they are not. I don't care how close you are to your parents. It doesn't matter how close you are to your siblings. It doesn't matter how close you are to maybe that one best friend. Matters of the heart are not collective responsibility. And so you trying to seek out how you can be a better partner for your partner, and just exercising different forms of intimacy, physical, emotional, and all of that. It's okay to invest your energy and your time and what it is that you can to your relationships. And if you're in it for the long haul, great, we celebrate it. If you're in it for a short time, I mean, it did what it did, it served its purpose, now you can move on. So let's not be people who kind of frown upon people who are genuinely trying to do right by their romantic partners. Tuache kuita watu masimp. I mean, when you were single, it was time for you. Now you are with someone else. Now it's time for your partner. Simp if you must, work towards being a better person yourself. Show up for them. Tell them you appreciate them. Voice it. Text it, like just be there 100%. When you go into a relationship, just kill it. And if it doesn't end up working out, then at least you won't leave that particular interaction with a lot of what ifs and all those other what ifs that people normally share. I am sending you so much love and light. I hope that small nuggets here and there that you've been able to get from this particular episode that you can apply in your day-to-day life, and even for the first time you can be able to apply it at work, and you can form work or work intimacy, or it actually is work intimacy with your colleagues and with so many other people that you end up interacting with. Have a great week ahead. I'm sending you so much love and hugs. It's my time to go and rest. I will see you on the next one. Bye guys. Bye-bye.